Well, it's a great privilege for me to be able to do these three fantastic works from 1724, when I think Handel is really coming into maturity. They're all three great works, quite different in a way. They each have their own strengths and weaknesses. Well, not strengths and weaknesses, but sort of high points, low points, and the way the drama's carved out is done in a very different way for the different scores. Tamerlano has much more secco recit with the harpsichord, cello and theorbo. There's much more spoken, it's the idea of the sort of spoken text where the plot goes much more quickly. There's plenty of that, whereas in Cesare and Rosalinda there are many arias, also much recitative, but many arias, whereas in Tamerlano the drama is put out in a slightly different way, which means you have fewer tunes. Doesn't mean to say the drama's any less, it's formed in a slightly different way. I think that Misha Fichtengolds has put together a fantastic cast of singers, most of whom I know, some of whom will be new to me. I'm looking very much forward to meeting them, and it's great to be back with the Moscow Chamber Orchestra after our Ottone from previous times, and they're on great form. I think we've got sort of 3 tough weeks to come, but I'm really much looking forward. For instance, Theodora, which is sort of one of the very late oratorios. I worked many years ago on a staging directed by Peter Sellers with William Christie conducting. I was a chorus master for that many years ago at Glyndebourne. And that was presented as an opera, as you would see any other operas, and I think it can be seen in that way. It doesn't need to be sort of divided off and saying this isn't anything to do with opera. I think Handel, just by that point, he'd reached the sort of operas were over for him. He needed to find a new tack, and in Britain he found this oratorio form. Now you had a separate standalone chorus and who had a different voice in the action, and so he constructs his narratives in a different way. And I don't think they need to be pigeonholed into sacred music and operatic music. I think, you know, they have a distinction, but there's sort of very grey area. And I think, you know, he'd sort of moved on in his dramatic ideas for Theodora, but the essence of the music and the drive of the drama are just the same. It's lovely to be able to hear and to work, you know, sort of in full working conditions with everyone in the orchestra who should be here. You know, we don't need a large orchestra for these productions, or for these productions, and so we have all the conditions as would be ideal. Sadly, we're not, I understand, able to have quite full audiences, but I think for the people who have the chance to come, they will have a great time.